Hello everyone, and welcome to my General Hospital Today channel. Michael's alibi is protecting more than himself. He knows who shot Drew. For the night Drew Cain was shot, Michael Corinthos has struggled to maintain his alibi. Michael was headed to Drew's place that night to confront him about his reunion with Willow Tate. Tracy Quartermain is unable to verify his claim that he left after arriving and deciding not to continue. It's easy to forget what might have actually transpired here because Michael's personal animosity toward Drew and his desire to see Willow imprisoned are the focus of so much attention. Is it possible that Michael actually made it to Drew's in time to witness the escape of those who fired the gun and watch them flee? Could it be that he came to the conclusion that the assailant requires more protection than Uncle Drew does? That is one weak excuse. Michael is aware that his excuse is not very convincing. Claiming he was with an escort that night is far from typical behavior for him, but it does shed some light on an important detail. If Michael was the shooter and had been planning this attempted murder, he probably would have had a better cover story lined up. Michael needs Jacinda Bracken to keep the police from asking too many questions about what happened that night and his possible involvement in it. Is Michael leaving out the part where he saw who shot Drew and watched them run away from the crime scene? Michael would not give up this life for anyone else. Michael would take on this kind of responsibility for very few people. He might be imprisoned for this. Giving a false statement to the police is the tip of the iceberg if he's covering for an attempted murderer in the process. Although it is possible that Sonny Corinthos was the shooter, this is not a likely scenario. Because he was in Croatia at the time, Jason Morgan is completely out of the question. Regardless, Michael has never substituted for Sonny or Jason. So who might? Rocco Falconeri and Danny Morgan are viable options that Michael may feel inclined to protect. According to fan theories, it would make sense for Drew's brothers to seek vengeance against Emily Scout Cain for cutting them out of their lives. Willow may be even more guilty than she realizes. Even though Willow makes it seem like she didn't shoot Drew, Michael might have seen something completely different. After all, keep in mind that Willow informed Elizabeth Baldwin that the reason she was getting back together with Drew was so that he could assist her in reuniting with her children. She didn't really want to reunite with the guy who slept with her mother. She also appeared slightly more insane than usual as she walked that night in the rain. Is it possible that Willow shot Drew as a result of a mental breakdown? It would certainly not be out of character for the women in her family. Nina Reeves, Lisa Labrecht, and Nellie Benson Jerome have all struggled with mental stability and violent tendencies over time. Is it possible that Michael was completely unaware of what Willow had done as she fled back to work after shooting Drew? Stranger things have happened in Port Charles. Why is he now attempting to blame Willow for this, if he is protecting her? Because she is concerned that provoking Michael will backfire, Willow decides to quit over Drew's purchase of the mansion. Willow Tate might become enraged over Drew Cain's purchase of a mansion and be concerned that provoking Michael Corinthos will backfire. In GH's October 29th episode, Drew gave Nina Reeves updates on his Quartermain house purchase plan and left her wondering how that would help Willow. Drew explained that it would distract and destabilize Michael as a result of this. Drew argued that Michael is under a microscope right now, so he suggested that Michael could make one wrong move and risk losing it all. Although Drew insisted that Michael would lash out and demonstrate to everyone that he was reckless enough to attempt to kill him, Nina was skeptical that purchasing Michael's family home would cause him to break down. Drew clearly believes he has everything figured out, but when Willow learns of his plan, she might not like it. It's not hard for Willow to get upset and worry that Drew is making things worse rather than better. Willow may concur that Michael will lash out, but she may be skeptical that he will act recklessly due to Drew's purchase of the mansion. Willow may be afraid of Michael because he tends to be cold and calculated in his plans for retaliation. Willow may worry that Drew's provoking Michael and potentially making her even more of a target. Willow has been blaming Michael for framing her ever since she was arrested. We can understand why Willow would be concerned about Michael's next plot if he is truly to blame for her being in a Pentonville prison cell. Even though Willow would most definitely like to win her freedom and blame Michael, she might think Drew's strategy is wrong. Instead of upsetting Michael and making him more determined to kill Willow, they may need to focus on proving Michael's guilt in some way. Michael Corinthos has always prided himself on being a man who values truth, justice, and above all, family. But lately, those principles seem to be clashing in ways that even he can't reconcile. The night Drew Cain was shot has become one of the most talked about mysteries in Port Charles, and as the investigation unfolds, Michael's story simply doesn't hold up. The inconsistencies, the vague timeline, the strange behavior, everything points to the possibility that Michael's alibi isn't about protecting himself at all. It's about protecting someone else. The question is, who, and why? Michael insists that he had plans to confront Drew that night about his reunion with Willow Tate. Jealousy, resentment, and a complicated emotional history between the three of them already set the stage for an explosive confrontation. According to Michael, he arrived near Drew's place, thought better of it, and turned around. Convenient, isn't it? Especially since Tracy Quartermaine, who might have verified his whereabouts, can't confirm seeing him anywhere near there. His account sounds rehearsed, too neat for a man allegedly acting on impulse. What if Michael's hesitation wasn't about losing his temper, but about what he saw the moment he arrived? Maybe he didn't leave because he changed his mind, maybe he left because he saw the truth unfold before his eyes. If Michael truly arrived as the shooting occurred, it's entirely possible he saw the real shooter fleeing the scene. In that moment, everything he thought he knew could have shattered. Perhaps he realized the shooter wasn't just anyone, it was someone close to him, someone he couldn't bear to see behind bars. Suddenly, his vague alibi makes perfect sense. He needed a story that would hold up enough to keep the police from digging too deeply but flimsy enough to allow him plausible deniability. A night spent with an escort? It's uncharacteristic behavior for Michael, yes, but it gives him a paper trail and just enough distraction to steer suspicion away from the truth. Let's face it, Michael isn't the type to invent an escort alibi out of thin air unless he's truly desperate. He could have said he was with a business associate, at the Quartermaine estate, or even helping with something at ELQ. But no, he picked the one explanation that would make everyone look twice and whisper, "That doesn't sound like Michael." It's as if he wanted to seem slightly suspicious but not criminally so. It's a risky move, but one that keeps him from revealing too much. Jacinda Bracken, the escort in question, seems to have appeared at just the right time, conveniently backing up his version of events. Whether she's being paid to keep quiet or genuinely believes his story is anyone's guess, but one thing is certain, her presence gives him an out. The deeper question is, who is Michael protecting? If the shooter was Sonny Corinthos, Michael's father, we all know that Michael wouldn't hesitate to find another way to shield him. But Sonny has always had his own ways of handling problems, and his own code of silence. He wouldn't ask Michael to lie for him, nor would Michael need to step in. Jason Morgan? Off the table entirely, he was in Croatia at the time. That leaves a much smaller, much more emotional pool of suspects, people who Michael might feel morally obligated to protect, even at the risk of his own freedom. Rocco Falconeri and Danny Morgan come to mind immediately. Both young men have struggled to find their place amidst the chaos their families create. Their fathers, Dante and Jason, have both lived lives entrenched in violence, loyalty, and vengeance. If one of them sought retribution against Drew for something connected to Emily Scout Cain, Michael might have arrived in time to see it unfold. Would he really turn in someone like Rocco or Danny, who might have acted out of anger or confusion rather than true malice? Michael has always been the one trying to break the cycle of pain in his family. Protecting them could be his misguided way of doing that. And then there's Willow. At first glance, she seems the least likely suspect. Sweet, composed, compassionate Willow, could she really be capable of something so dark? But Port Charles has a way of exposing hidden sides to even the most angelic faces. When we recall that Willow confessed to Elizabeth Baldwin that she was only reuniting with Drew to secure custody of her children, it's clear that her motives weren't entirely pure. Add in the humiliation of being romantically entangled with a man who once slept with her mother, and you have a recipe for emotional instability. Her behavior the night of the shooting raises even more questions. She was seen walking in the rain, distraught and talking to herself, moments before Drew was found bleeding on the ground. Could that have been a mental break? Willow has already endured loss, betrayal, and illness, pushing her to the brink wouldn't take much. And if she did pull the trigger in a moment of confusion or rage, Michael's actions afterward make chilling sense. Imagine this: Michael arrives just as Willow fires the shot, sees Drew collapse, and watches the woman he loves standing there in shock, the gun trembling in her hands. In that instant, every instinct to protect her would override logic, morality, and the law itself. He could have taken the weapon, wiped it clean, and told her to run. Then, in the aftermath, he constructed an alibi that would divert attention from her entirely. The police believe he's hiding something, but they think it's for himself. In truth, he might be hiding her. What's more compelling is the subtle guilt Michael has been carrying since the shooting. His anger toward Willow seems forced, almost performative, as though he's overcompensating. He talks about her betrayal, her lies, her recklessness, but deep down, his eyes tell another story. It's the guilt of a man who knows something he shouldn't, who wakes up every morning replaying the moment that changed everything. His constant defensiveness, his insistence that everyone move on, that the police focus on real suspects, it all points to a man struggling to keep the truth buried. If he's protecting Willow, though, why would he start trying to cast suspicion on her now? Maybe he's losing control of the situation. Maybe someone else knows what he did and is using that information to manipulate him. Michael's relationship with power has always been complicated, especially when it comes to the Quartermaines. Tracy, ever the matriarch of manipulation, might already suspect the truth. Perhaps she's been quietly gathering evidence, waiting for the right moment to use it against him. Or worse, she might know he's lying but hasn't revealed it yet, just to watch him squirm under the pressure. Still, it's hard to imagine Michael willingly betraying Willow, no matter how strained things become. His sense of loyalty runs deep, especially toward those he loves. So if he's inching toward exposing her, it could be because he believes someone else is about to take the fall. Maybe he's setting the stage for a controlled revelation, one that protects Willow from the full weight of the law while still appearing to cooperate with the authorities. There's also the haunting possibility that Michael isn't just protecting Willow or one of the young men, he's protecting all of them. What if multiple people were at Drew's that night? What if Michael stumbled into a situation far more tangled than anyone realizes, a situation where innocence and guilt blur together, where pulling one thread could unravel several lives? It's not beyond the realm of possibility in Port Charles. Everyone has secrets. Everyone has motives. And everyone, at one point or another, has done something they swore they'd never do. As it stands, Michael's alibi remains the weakest link in the investigation. The more he tries to defend it, the more unbelievable it becomes. The truth is circling closer every day, and when it finally comes out, it's bound to shatter more than reputations, it could destroy families. If Michael knows who shot Drew, his silence speaks volumes. It's not just about loyalty. It's about love, fear, and the unbearable weight of choosing between justice and protection. He's a man trapped between two impossible choices: expose the truth and lose someone he loves, or protect them and live with the guilt forever. And as history in Port Charles has shown time and time again, secrets never stay buried. Whether it was Sonny's business dealings, Jason's double life, or Carly's manipulations, every lie eventually comes to light. Michael might believe he's shielding someone from ruin, but when the truth about Drew's shooting finally emerges, it could take everyone down, including him. In the end, Michael's greatest act of love might also be his greatest mistake. His alibi isn't protecting him, it's protecting the person he can't bear to lose. But in doing so, he's risking everything: his freedom, his family, and the fragile peace that's holding his world together. When the truth comes out, and it will, Michael will have to face the ultimate reckoning. Because in Port Charles, no secret stays safe forever. The face he recognized. He couldn't believe it. He didn't want to believe it. Because the face he saw wasn't that of a stranger, it was someone he loved. Someone whose destruction would destroy him too. There are whispers around town that Michael's alibi is meant to protect Willow. But others have started to suspect something even more explosive, that the person Michael saw that night was someone much younger, someone still impressionable, still capable of being saved. Rocco Falconeri, Danny Morgan. Or even a frightened, vengeful Scout Kane herself, desperate to make her mark in a world that's taken so much from her family. Could one of them have been there that night? Could Michael be protecting a child from spending their life behind bars for a moment of impulsive violence? No one would believe it at first, not in Port Charles, where innocence rarely survives for long. But Michael's behavior since the shooting says it all. The sudden protectiveness. The quiet donations to children's charities. The late-night visits to Dante's precinct to check in. He's not just covering his tracks, he's preparing for the fallout. The escort alibi, Michael's greatest gamble. To anyone else, claiming to spend the night with an escort would have been social suicide. But for Michael, it was strategy. The kind of move that raises eyebrows but buys time. It made him look reckless, maybe even self-destructive, but not calculated. No one would suspect a man caught up in scandal of being the one pulling the strings behind a cover-up. Jacinda Bracken was never supposed to be part of the story. A name pulled from a list. A woman paid to play a role, one that came with an airtight script and a hefty paycheck. But as weeks passed, Jacinda started to realize that her involvement was more dangerous than she'd signed up for. There were questions she couldn't answer, gaps in Michael's story she couldn't explain, and strange men watching her from parked cars near her apartment. Now, she's gone silent. Some say she's fled town. Others whisper that Michael's powerful allies, maybe even his father's, made sure she stayed quiet. Whatever the truth, one thing is clear, the escort story is beginning to crumble. And with it, Michael's entire defense. Willow's guilt and the secrets she can't remember. While Michael spins his web of half-truths, Willow's behavior has been spiraling too. She swears she doesn't remember much from that night, just fragments. A fight with Drew. The storm. Her hand on the doorknob. And then, nothing. But dreams have started to haunt her. Dreams that feel too vivid to dismiss. She wakes up drenched in sweat, heart pounding, images flashing behind her eyes, Drew falling, the smell of gunpowder, her own voice screaming. Every night, the scenes become clearer. Every morning, she tells herself it's just guilt, not memory. She's begun to notice Michael watching her when he thinks she isn't looking, the way he flinches when her nightmares slip out in conversation, how he changes the subject whenever Drew's name comes up. Part of her wonders if Michael suspects her. Another part fears he already knows. And then there's the strange tenderness between them lately, the kind that comes from shared pain, not passion. It's almost as though Michael's love has shifted into something else. Protection. Pity. Maybe even atonement. If he saw Willow shoot Drew that night, could he live with that knowledge? Could he love her knowing what she'd done? Or is he simply waiting for the day when the truth will destroy them both? Tracy's suspicion grows. Meanwhile, Tracy Quartermain isn't fooled for a second. The matriarch of manipulation has lived long enough to recognize the scent of a cover-up. And Michael's story, the timing, the alibi, the sudden silence, reeks of one. She's been watching, quietly collecting clues. The night she claimed she didn't see him anywhere near Drew's, she actually did. From across the street, she spotted Michael's car parked near the building, engine running, headlights off. She saw him step out, hesitate, and then run toward the commotion just seconds before the gunshot rang out. Tracy has kept that secret close, waiting for the perfect moment to use it. Not to destroy Michael, at least, not yet, but to control him. With ELQ's future hanging in the balance, Tracy knows leverage when she sees it. And if Michael wants her silence, it's going to cost him. Sonny's instincts are stirring. Sonny Corinthos has made a career out of spotting lies, especially from people he loves. Lately, his son's been giving off the same energy Sonny recognizes from himself, the kind that comes from hiding something you die to protect. Michael's visits have been fewer, shorter, colder. And when Sonny asks about Drew, Michael's answers are clipped, rehearsed. Sonny's no fool. He knows the signs. He started his own quiet investigation, using his network of contacts to trace the events of that stormy night. What he's learned so far has only deepened his suspicion. The surveillance cameras on the block where Drew was shot were wiped clean. Every one of them. The system was accessed remotely, by someone with inside knowledge of Corinthos Coffee's own security software. And there's only one person who could have done that. Michael. If Sonny confirms it, he'll have to make a choice no father should ever face: turn his son in to save his soul, or keep the secret and lose him forever. Drew's memory returns. Weeks later, Drew finally opens his eyes in his hospital bed. The bullet missed his heart by inches. His recovery is slow, his speech slurred, his mind foggy. But one thing is clear: he remembers something. At first, he's reluctant to say anything. The doctors warn him to rest, to let his brain heal. But Drew has never been one to stay silent when the truth is within reach. Piece by piece, he reconstructs the night, the sound of footsteps, the rain hitting his jacket, and then, the shadow in the doorway. The shooter wasn't a stranger. It was someone familiar. Someone who hesitated.